Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. How are you then?
I've been a little bit poorly this week, but I'll go into that later. You tell me about your week first.
Okay. Well, this is the week that I have successfully gone through all the pain of moving a little bit of pensions that Phoebe Nelson and I had, various amounts, into self-administered pension funds.
Oh, well done you.
It was a bit of a chore, I can tell you, because you have to go through all this verification and identification and everything. Then you open up a SIP account at Hargreaves Lansdowne.
Yes.
From the Jill Fielding days.
Indeed.
And they made it effortless, actually. Once you'd done their thing, you then told them which pension you wanted to move over. They did the rest of it. And then once you get your thing for online access, you can go and set up your account and you can trade stocks and shares within your SIP.
Well, you control it. You can do whatever you like now.
Yeah, I know, yeah. It's exciting. And
it is.
So I've been doing a little bit of research about stocks that are doing very well. And one, I said to Phoebes, what about brands you like? Let's, just as a starting point, really. And she said, MAC Cosmetics. So I went looking for MAC and they weren't there. So they're owned by Estee Lauder now, apparently. Estee Lauder's having the most phenomenal stock run on their share price. So I brought to bear all the things I've learned about, looking at charts and things through the trading Bitcoin, and found several shares that the kids can identify with. And so we've spread out their funds a bit and chosen things that, they're interested in and excited by.
And how often will the three of you review it?
Well, I think a monthly.
Yes, good.
To look at it, because obviously you want to try and buy when it's on a dip and sell when it's on a high if you're going to sell at all. But I think it's a Warren Buffett thing. Invest it for the long term in things you want to hold and you understand and you can relate to. So different entirely to trading, but this is long term stuff. So if they can. If their shares they've chosen continue on the current trajectory, then they should do quite well by the time they're 50 years old.
Excellent.
And they can put more money in at any time. So I was very pleased with that because it was a bit of an admin nightmare, and I'm not very good at admin, as you know.
Yeah, but some admin tasks seem huge, don't they?
They seem endless, put it that way.
Yeah.
But you've got to chunk them down into little bits. We can just get this bit done, then we'll be one step closer. Owen, Phoebe's friend who I've told you about before, is about to set off on the first Virgin cruise ever. It's been an endless round of goodbye, farewell drinks and parties and him coming round and... No, sorry, roll back. What is the first ever Virgin cruise? Are you telling me that Virgin have never been in cruising? No, they're launching their first custom cruise ship this next week.
And what's Owen doing on it?
And he's running the record shop, and he's been asked if he could get involved in entertainment and DJing as well. And he said, Nelson, you've got 3 days to teach me to DJ, because I've done that thing that Richard Branson always says, which is say yes first and learn how afterwards.
Can I ask, what on earth are people buying in the record shop? Records?
Well, it's an adult-only cruise, and vinyl is very popular again. So there's a record shop on board.
How bizarre.
I know. I imagine they're selling all kinds of different audio, but...
really all I'd want to buy in a record shop is a gift card to download streaming stuff.
Yeah, I know. Well, they probably sell that too, but I imagine they sell all sorts of things that people can entertain themselves with on board. But because let's face it, the internet is absolutely appalling on cruise ships. You can very rarely stream anything, so... I think that's what it's about. But anyway, he's also a very capable lad. He's been a drummer. He's run retail establishments, and he's very outgoing and personable. So I'm sure he'll find himself a niche. And it's very exciting to watch the start of a brand new career for someone. He got down from something, I don't know, 6,000 applicants or something down to
And what would you say were his qualities that got him chosen?
Oh, Judith, I've loved him since he was about 12. He's always been the perky, cheeky chappy who he was mad about Phoebe for a long time. That brought him to my attention. And he's always been a snappy dresser as well. He's the one who had a waistcoat and fob watch rather than wearing a hoodie. And he's been one of my favourites for a long time. You can see the spark of life in their eyes, when they're little.
Well, I'm glad Virgin saw it.
Exactly, but it was an endless process, and a lot of people fell by the wayside. And he says it's actually cost him about £600, the whole process so far. He gets it all back, but only when he embarks.
What sort of things has he spent that money on, Nicola?
Things like injections and medicals and stuff like that, but they make them pay for them, which given the high dropout rate, he said people were dropping out even as late as the week-long induction course down in the West Country, where they were staying in a luxury hotel. Some people decided it wasn't for them at that point. So I suppose they actually have brought the staff on boarding. They've outsourced it to a company who presumably specialises in... I've been fascinated by the whole process, I must say. That specialises in onboarding cruise ship staff, and they obviously told Virgin that there would be a massively high dropout rate, so make them pay for everything up to that point themselves, only reimburse them once they got on board.
Life's hard in 2020.
I can hear the cold in you, it sounds
yeah.
good at all.
No, I'll tell you in a minute.
All right. And the only other thing to tell you about this week is that Heather's singing in Cambridge on Saturday, and it's her birthday, and we're thinking of, Sarah and I, she won't be able to hear this till afterwards, we're thinking of driving up and surprise her.
No, that would be nice.
Yeah. So what about your week then, apart from the...
Oh, I've got lots of social things to say. For a woman who hasn't moved her car in 10 days, I've got an awful lot of social news to tell you.
Right.
You might have seen on Facebook that my little cat Mitsy died over the weekend.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she's been living with Tracy, a client of mine, since the summer of 2016, and Tracy paid a blinder in handling all of that for me. And you probably don't remember this, but for the first year of Mitzi's life, she lived with Dan, the computer man.
Oh, I don't remember that, no.
No, so Dan brought her round to my house in 2008, and I looked after her until 2016, and then Tracy and her family took over after that. So I wrote to Dan to tell him the end of the story, and I think he was not pleased to hear that she died, but pleased to know that I'd thought to tell him the end of the story, as it were.
Yeah.
That sort of brought up a lot of people on Facebook about those of us who love pets, how they die. Mitsy didn't make old bones. She was only about 13, which is quite young for a cat.
Yeah, a lovely little thing.
She was a lovely little thing. And the thing that worries me is, and you see more about this nowadays, I don't think most of the food that pets eat is good for their health.
I've got no idea what pets
No,
eat.
and people are making newer and better foods for them all the time. I think their food's bad for them. Anyway, last week we did that thing where we talked about, break a bad habit, learn a new skill, do a good deed, visit a new place, read a difficult book, face it. Yeah. I found two of them have found me this week. I found my hard book, and it was recommended to me by a Facebook friend who is an author. Her name is Isabel Lasada, and she wrote that wonderful book, The Battersea Park Road to Enlightenment. Have you read that?
Yes.
And she had started this difficult book and then stopped and was going to go back and read it. It's 640 pages about trees. It's called The Over Story by Richard Powers, and I accidentally downloaded it. I meant to download a sample, but I actually bought the book at $5.99 and managed to read sort of 4 or 5% of it the first night, and I thought it was absolutely riveting. So let's hope all 640 pages continue to do that. And in What's Fueled My Fire, I'm going to tell you I found something new to try. So I'm up to 3 out of my 8 in 2 weeks, which is quite good, actually.
Oh, wow.
And this, you what?
I have a question.
Yes, go.
Does the book about trees and what goes on under and overground, is that because it's not non-fiction that makes it hard?
No, it's fiction. It's half a dozen strands of stories which I think come together in the end about people, families, and their relationship with trees.
Oh, okay, it sounds quite good.
Exactly. It does sound quite good, and I thought it was quite gripping. I'd be interested to find out, and I'm sure I will as I progress through the book, why somebody who's much more literate than I, Isabel Lasada, would give up on it halfway through and then decide to go back to it. So that's interesting.
There could be two reasons. I find mixed timelines quite tricky to read, but when they're done well, I really enjoy them. And the other thing is perhaps you just didn't give her About any of the characters?
I don't think it's either of those because because I don't think they're a mixed. What did you call it? Mixed timelines. I don't think it's mixed timelines. I think it's sequential story. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you probably saw that last weekend, my first weekend on the farm. I realised that when Val and Steve don't come in like they do in the week, at the weekend I'm on the farm.
Yes.
By myself in the dark with a big wind, with the access road that's closed, with no mobile signal and no lights.
It's been really windy this week as well.
Wiley Windy Moor, Kate Bush. I kept singing that to myself because it was just incredible weather, which actually has given rise to floods locally here. Because I'll tell you that story later as well. But I felt so brave, but I definitely wasn't spooked. And it's like, so I'm thinking, well, the road's closed and I've got no mobile signal and I'm the only person here and it's dark and there's a big wind and there's no lights. I should be frightened by that, I'm thinking. Why aren't I? Many people would. And funnily enough, when I put it on Facebook, it was about 50-50. About half of the people went, oh, I'd love that, or I love that, or that's my life, or something. And the other people were, oh, no, I couldn't do that.
I think you made a point about the lights. I mean, in Greece, the wind was very, very loud due to it racketed around the mountains and whistled in and out of caves, and you could really hear it. It often sounded worse than it was outside. It actually was outside. But and then often you get power cuts as well, and I managed even then with those, and I was up in the olive groves all on my own a lot of the time because a lot of the other people around were not there. But the power cuts, as long as you had candles, even on the worst case scenario, or other battery powered lights, I was okay. But I think it was more the fact that I realised that there was actually no one around at all, let alone serial killers.
Well, quite.
So you're far enough away from civilization, perhaps, whereas it might be scarier in the town even.
Well, I'm not very far from anything. It just feels like I am. I mean, if I got in the car, if it was possible to get in the car, which it isn't at the moment, because not only is the road closed, but there's flooding, I'm only about 2 miles from the motorway to London. You
didn't have a mobile signal, but did you have internet?
Yes, internet is fine. My mobile, T-Mobile EE, whatever it's called, just doesn't work here.
Oh.
So texts come through in lumps every 3 days. I've had to tell my family, email me and I'll call you back on the landline. There's a landline.
Yeah.
But my mobile doesn't work here, which of course is no problem to me whatsoever. So I never want the phone to ring.
Yeah, exactly.
But it does mean that when the Ocado man couldn't get through because of the road closure, they couldn't ring me. And so head office had to call me on my Skype-in number. It's more logistical than you think, really.
Yeah. Well, you are very brave, though, because, so it didn't occur to you until you went up there and moved in that it was going to be like that. How does your friend Leslie cope then? Because she must be there on her own.
Oh, she's got a husband.
Oh, is he always there, is he?
He's pretty much always there. I mean, both of them travel together and separately. He's pretty much always here. And he's very, he dug the swimming pool. He's very handy. He's always doing something on the farm with a gadget. He's a proper bloke.
A proper bloke.
Not the sort of Nancy boys that we mix with, that just do things.
Forklift truck driver.
No, exactly. Okay, so Tuesday, it's Thursday today. Tuesday, I woke up inspired to reopen my Club 100 coaching group because, 2020 feels auspicious. All the clients are turning up and telling me something's changed. We've turned a corner. There's opportunities in my life. It just feels different. And I'm just going to end it there. I've got no expectations. I'm not attached to the outcome. I've got no plans. It's just, let's see. So as opposed to having an energy which was quite closed, I just opened it up. And then yesterday afternoon, I had to reschedule 2 clients because I felt so awful with this cold, suddenly woozy. The cold it's like a small cold, but it's had like 3 separate stages. There was sort of endless sneezing for 2 days. Then there was a runny nose for 2 days. And then there's, it's all in your head and your chest and you can't sleep except with your mouth open type of thing. So yesterday afternoon, I was sitting at my desk and I thought, I really don't feel very well. I'm going to go back to bed. So I did, because that's my go-to cure-all, but you can still hear it this morning. And actually, I'm apologizing to the listeners because in last week's, you could hear it coming on. There was a lot of sniffing. I beg your pardon for that.
I didn't notice. I'd have cut it out.
Well, it's quite difficult to cut out a sniff. And then this week, I've been trying some things called nootropics. You know what they are, don't you?
No.
Because we've talked about them before. I don't know what you call them. All your trendy thought leader internet boys use them. They're nutritional. They're like brain function accelerants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so no, you know what I'm talking about. I just can't find the right words to describe what they are. But actually, I wasn't using them. I bought a thing to help me sleep better called Unplug, and they send you in the test package in a gold colorway something called Power Up, which is supposed to increase mental performance. Well, I don't want my mental performance increasing, to be honest with it. Works pretty well as it is. But my sleep is sometimes a bit patchy. Well, I will tell you that the thing I wanted it for, the sleep, it did wonders for that. And the Power Up seems to have done absolutely nothing at all for me.
Oh, Phoebe's had the same cold, so I know exactly the stages you're talking about.
Yeah, so I got it from my niece, which was a week ago Sunday. She was on her second one. Of course, I never see anybody, so I don't come into contact with germy people. But I just remembered I could lay it at my niece's door.
We've been waiting for it to go around the house here. Nelson did start sneezing yesterday, but he's gone off to work today, so we don't know how he's getting on. And I feel absolutely perfectly fine. So,
well, because I never see anybody, I never get ill. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of continuing audit, my Facebook friend count is now up to 115.
Yes, I've had a few inquiries this week.
Well, I will tell you a couple of stories. I don't accept them all. I go through and look at their profile, and one woman's only content was the constantly updated profile photograph of herself.
Well, that's not a proper profile then, is it?
Well, I didn't accept her, obviously. And then another one, but it was quite a funny thing. She PM'd me immediately to ask my best address so she could send me a Pilates gift. Well, I had to tell her I don't have an address and why I haven't got an address. And also the once I tried Pilates, I absolutely hated it because there was an awful lot of kneeling down, which of course is excruciating for me. It was just made me laugh. It's like, what two things could you pick that would, be the biggest turn-off? Well, you want my postal address and you want to send me a free gift about Pilates. It's quite funny. I did say to her, this is so funny, because obviously she didn't know either of those facts, but there you go. So tell me what's fueled your fire.
What's fueled my fire? I've been several things this week. I've been casting about for... obviously, I'm expecting a positive outcome from the BBC Dramas Workshop,
Indeed,
writing room.
Yeah,
I've been casting about for courses I could do if that didn't happen, and I came across the National Film and Television School, which I've never come across before.
The NFT, you were having a laugh, aren't you?
Apparently.
Yes, you're so funny.
Yeah, and they had quite a really a good-looking course that I like the look of. It's a 10-day script writing intensive down in Beaconsfield. I had to look that up. It's by Slough somewhere.
It's not really down, darling. It's up from you. It's not down anywhere, Beaconsfield.
Down. Yeah, I suppose it's sort of down from London a bit. Yeah, I know what you mean. So I like to look at it. It's with Peter Ansorge, who wrote many things, including Cold Feet.
How do you spell that second name?
Ansorge.
Okay.
And it's actually...
Sorry, 10-day intensive, what is it?
A screenwriting. It's called Write Your Way to Your Pilot.
Okay, good.
So you come out...
That's a good name.
Yeah, you come out of... and apparently they get a lot of really cool people down to talk, lecture, people like Phoebe Waller-Bridge and... Yeah. And then at the end of it, they actually put you in touch with people to pitch your pilot to.
And does this cost money to go on this course?
Yes, it does. It's there's two prices. There's a corporate price if your company's paying, and there's a freelancer price, which is £1,125.
Okay.
The next one's in April. I've put £100 deposit down just to secure myself a place, and if I don't want to go in April, I can go in October.
Okay.
But I'm really very keen on it because it said in the blurb, very, very non-salesy blurb, by the way, for just very down-to-earth and factual, but it did say there is a constant demand for new screenwriters because of all the different platforms.
Streaming,
like Amazon
and do you have to go and stay in Beaconsfield?
You do, yes, because it's absolutely inaccessible from where I am. Yeah. So it probably would cost, I don't know, $2,000 all told with accommodation and all that stuff. So I'm that's fueling my fire, the idea of doing that, because I really quite like intensive learning like that. I don't want to do something that's going to take 6 months and take one evening a week up in London, one evening a month up in London.
It's too slow for you.
Yeah. I'm still listening to the Story Grid stuff because they've released a sort of members area and a whole new publishing company. They've analysed all the things that are wrong with publishing and started their own company that is more like a sort of crowdfunding affair, really.
Okay.
So everyone who joins this guild thing gets a book a month, and you also get live calls with the editing guy Sean Coyne, where they analyse scene by special scenes in certain genres of writing. And the thing that really got me going was that I've identified what was wrong with my book. So I'm feeling a bit more like coming back to it now. Okay. I thought I was writing a sci-fi book, which isn't a genre at all, apparently. It's a setting. My genre is action-adventure with an internal redemption story arc.
Okay.
Set in other planets.
Sorry, action-adventure with what?
Right, so you have an external story arc.
No, I got it. I just couldn't write the words down fast enough. Right. Action-adventure with an internal...
redemption story arc.
Okay, yeah.
So someone going from naivete to sophistication, or naivete to disillusionment. Whether it's a parable that helps you become a better person, or whether it's something that is a bit of a downer.
Takes you down, yeah. Finishes you off. Yeah,
like punishment,
Yes, yes. Wrong. So actually, we either want the hero to come up on top or the villain to go further down.
Yes, or we want the villain to
be redeemed.
Lose, but learn something.
Yes, okay. And going back to the Story Grid members area thing, you get a book a month. What sort of a book are they sending you every month? Or is it a physical book or what?
You can sign up for the physical book package, or you can sign up for the digital book package.
Okay.
Which is pretty good. They've really thought it through. There's these two guys have obviously spent the last 5 years recording their podcast, thinking about what's wrong with the publishing industry and how they could do it better. And I'm really, thrilled to be a part of it. So I'm sort of helping to crowdfund it by becoming a member.
And what sort of books are they sending you?
All different kinds of things. So the first one was a parable about the publishing industry and how they arrived at something better.
One of their own books, you mean?
Yes, they were going to be published by this publishing company.
Got it. Okay.
So it's a really nice business model, I think, and really inclusive and really something to learn from. So I liked it a lot. That's fueled my fire. What about you?
Well, given that I think our focus today is going to be quite short, I've prepared a short dissertation for you today on my something new. What's the thing called? Try something new. Okay, so here's my trying something new. It's called Project Pain Freedom. And in future weeks, if there are any advances, I will put this in project updates. So I decided in January that, amongst other things, something to tackle was the pain in my knees because it was getting worse. And I knew that surgery and doctors was never going to be the way. And Facebook typically threw me a couple of things. One is an app called Curable. And you'll like this one, I think, because it relies on 4 strands: education, which is the science of pain in your brain; meditation, journaling, and brain training. So it gets you to do 4 things over quite a long period of time. You wouldn't like it because it's a little bit slow for you, but every day you can do some or all of those. You can be educated about your brain and the science of pain in it. You can meditate to reduce the pain. You can journal to discover more about your pain. And you can have brain training, which is about getting you to rethink how you think about your pain. Their tenets are: knowledge is power. Pain is designed to protect, to keep you safe. Pain is not just a physical experience. This is my favorite one, number 4. All pain originates in the brain. So I don't feel my pain in my knees, I feel it in my brain. Pain is an opinion, not a fact. Your brain's opinion, not necessarily a reality. And 6, you have to treat the brain to get rid of the pain. So that's their thesis. And I also found a woman who is I think she might be one of my new 115 Facebook friends, and her name is Althea Finch. And she came to me. Somebody has obviously taught her very recently the whole lead pages, YouTube, follow-up emails, enough free stuff to work myself through, book a free call process, which I've done. So I opted in via her lead pages thing. She's a lovely, beautiful, fresh-faced British English blonde who has been a complementary therapist for 27 years. And she's found a way to stop pain in one session. There are 3 altogether. The first one is where you get the quick fix of stopping the pain. The second one is where you learn how to stop it coming back. And the third one is, I don't know what the third one is yet, but I've got my free call with her on Monday. And I've worked my way through her ebook, which seems to be a requirement of going to the free call. I've had a couple of major breakthroughs. There's been some reduction in pain. I didn't have to take painkillers on Tuesday after I did all the work on Monday. Had some good realizations and ahas. I've got 2 things wrong with me. My knee started in 2005 at the Wealth Conference, And another thing started in 2009 at another conference you and I did. So it's got something to do with conferences. And I've worked out that my right knee is much stronger than my left. And of course, the right side of your body is the blokey side and the left side is the female side. It's early days, but I will update, not every week, but when something happens of note. Now, there's a disclaimer here, which is typically I've not been very scientific in my experiments because I've already made some dietary changes in January where I'm eating the things you're supposed to eat if you think you've got arthritis. And they are ginger, garlic, spinach, broccoli, olive oil, walnuts, berries, tart cherry juice, oily fish and grapes. So I've been doing that for 2 weeks. And I've been taking supplements and teas, turmeric, curcumin and ginger and apple cider vinegar. They're all thought to help, but they may be longer term. And now Althea believes that the pain breakthrough can be instantaneous, i.e. on Monday. She says, connect to the reason for the pain and it disappears immediately. Here we go. Yes, and I don't know what the third one is, as I said, but I do love the work she's doing, helping people out of pain. How wonderful would that be?
Yes, amazing. I was going to ask you if you were taking turmeric because I remember you.
Well, I did it. I took turmeric for 2 years before. It did absolutely nothing for the knees. And funnily enough, this power up thing in the daytime has got turmeric in it as well. I'm on this ginger and turmeric tea, and I have ginger and turmeric juice every day, and I'm doing all the right things. But I think the Curable app and Althea between them is my solution to my pain. And I had a brief thought, which was, if Althea busts it on Monday and it stops on Monday, am I going to be cross that I've suffered since 2009? I thought, well, I might be, but I'll get over it quite fast, won't I, if I'm not in pain anymore? Yes. So I do have a project. I am trying something new, and if and when there are any breakthroughs of any description, I will report them in project updates. Okay.
Oh, marvelous! Oh, it sounds great. And she obviously her marketing's well on point. If you
well, to be honest with you, I think she's got 3 subscribers to her YouTube channel. I'm one of the earliest people through her funnel.
Yeah, well, it's obviously working. So,
well, let's see. Normally, that would have put me off if her manner was not so honest, open, sweet, uncommercial. Somebody is clearly steering her to do it this way. And she did say in one of her emails to me something like the call will not be a sales call, brackets ick. So she's clearly got the resistances that everybody has to, selling this way. But if this takes her to a bigger audience for her, like what is potentially life-changing work, then good on her.
Absolutely, yes. I've started to get sore shoulders, and I don't know why.
Now 3 of my clients have got sore shoulder, and one of them told me that it's about being cross with your other half.
Well, that's not right. It's not like a frozen shoulder. It's just when I move them through too much of a rotation backwards. If I move it backwards, it hurts.
Well, let me just run through very briefly so you can get the gist of where is the pain, what does it feel like, how deep does it go, how long have you had it, what organs, muscles and what was going on in your life when it started. I think that's the most important question. What was going on in your life when your shoulder pain started? And if you can feel into that, what she says, and I believe her, and I haven't done this thoroughly yet, but I've done some of it, is as you're describing the pain, the story of your life emerges. And if you can connect those two, so there's a lot of questions about childhood abuse and things. It goes on, what happened in your childhood and other questions like that. It's your story of your life locked into a part of your body. So the pain is sending you a message. And as soon as you get the message, it goes away.
Oh, okay.
You have to stop the behavior, obviously. I think if you can think back to what was I doing when it started?
Yeah, well, I'm obviously not going to answer these questions.
No, exactly right. Exactly right. I'll send you a link afterwards if you want to work through her workbook.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Right, so let's go through our focus of the week then.
Yeah, we're calling it What Price Insurance, and I think it's going to be quite short because A, I think I've spoken about it before on the podcast, and B, I don't really know as much about it as I would like to know about it, but I do understand some principles. So
I think it's definitely worth revisiting.
I think it is, yeah.
Especially in view of the fact we've probably just mentioned it in passing before, but we've not gone as deep into it as we're going to today.
Maybe. I saw Vanya on Facebook say something about pet insurance, and it went into a whole load of people moaning about the fact that whatever you pay for in any kind of insurance, you often end up uncovered when it comes to making a claim, or what a terrible rip-off the insurance industry is, and blah, 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 a lot of moaning. And I said, of course, you could always be your own insurer. Do you know how to do that? And I explained to them how to do that. So I'll give you an example, which is, if Mitsy was still in my care and control after I got over her, I would probably have a new cat. And when you get a new cat, you think about things like, or a new dog, you think about things like pet insurance. And they quote you a premium when you start. It's quite cheap when your animal is new. When Mitsy was new, 2008, it was something like a £5 or a £10 a month. And of course, as they get older, it becomes more expensive, like private health insurance, like everything, like the age of your car, whatever.
Yeah.
As it's more likely to go wrong, it gets more expensive. And what the recommendation is that you be your own insurer, i.e. you put that premium in your deposit account and you call it Mitsy's health insurance account, and you don't muddle it up with anything else, because then you'll just spend it. And you start with what we in the UK call the excess, and what I believe in America is known as the deductible, i.e. when you make a claim, you're going to pay the first 100 quid of it. Also, and we call that the excess, don't we?
Yes.
And so if you say to the insurance company, and what if I go for an excess of 200 quid? Well, the premiums go down. And what if I go for an excess of 300 quid? Well, the premiums go down. And as you increase your savings, you can offer the insurance company annually a bigger and bigger excess, which means their risk is less and less, until the excess is so big that the premiums are nil.
Slow down. I'm not following. So are you saying that you save up the excess and then go to the insurance company?
Well, if the excess on a brand new cat is £100, you could just open your deposit account with that now, couldn't you?
Well, presumably, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, the generally accepted principle of insurance is the bigger the excess / deductible,
I'll grasp that, but
the cheaper is the premium.
What I'm asking is, what are you saying to do? Are you saying to put in the excess now and then pay in what you would be paying to the insurance company?
Well, either. You can do it you can do it either way. If it's if it's a cat insurance, for instance, it's £5 or £10 a month, I wouldn't worry about excesses and deductibles. But we'll come on to bigger things in a minute. But depending on how much money you've got, you can do either, which is you can either become your own insurer over a period of time, because your savings pot gets bigger, which means every year you can say to the insurance company, the excess could match that, and then the premium goes down until it becomes nothing. Does that make sense? The bigger the excess, the smaller the premium, and the more you save, the bigger you can make the excess.
I understand all that, but the reason people take out insurance is because they're worried that a big cost is going to hit them before they've saved up enough to pay for it.
Well, they'll have some money, won't they? The point is this: when my father died in 1992, my mother was paying £80 a month to Bupa, and we stopped it and put it in her deposit account. By the time she died, it was £13,000, and she'd never had to pay for any private medicine.
But if she had, she'd have been stuffed.
Well, no, she would have had £13,000 towards it.
Well, only at the end. She wouldn't have had in year 1, 2, 3.
Well, the insurance is about risk, isn't it? And only you can assess that. Yeah. Our assessment of our mother's health was that she wouldn't need it.
Okay, and presumably you guys, if she did need it, were prepared to stump up for it.
Well, my brother would have done, yes, if she'd needed it. But as it happens, she had 2 cataracts and 2 hips on the national health, so she didn't need it. Now, let's go to printers and washing machines. When you buy a new printer and a new washing machine, you get bombarded with suggestions that you insure the printer and you insure the washing machine. And Marie Taylor, rest in peace, said to me, look, washing machines don't go wrong, Judith. If you're worried, put that £5 a month in your deposit account and pay for the maintenance man when it ever needs anything. And she was right. I had that washing machine for 8 years and nothing ever went wrong with it.
Yes, well, I've had washing machines that have occasionally gone wrong. So I'm the person who gets sucked into these insurances because I want peace of mind. For example, Nelson the other day, bought a brand new car just before Christmas, and it totally broke down on him just after Christmas, literally in the Christmas New Year period. And then I said to him, well, haven't you got breakdown cover on it? So he checked all his different things and he said, no, I haven't. I said, well, check out how much it's going to cost you to cover on breakdown cover. And it was £40 for the entire year. And he said, well, that's got to be worth it, hasn't it? So, and I've always had breakdown cover because I know that I do not want to break down somewhere.
Nicola, I have breakdown cover as well.
Yeah. I know, but I'm just saying the psychological thing about it is
it's fear. Insurance companies prey on your fear.
Yes, but I think the reason we all have breakdown cover is because £40 wouldn't get us home if our car broke down.
Well, interestingly, mine isn't £40. He should read the small print. Mine is like 100 and quite a lot every year. Yes, because if yours is very cheap, it usually excludes things like breaking down outside your own house.
Oh, I see. Yes. So he needs
Yes,
to check that. Yeah.
he does. And also it might exclude being towed back home and all that kind of thing.
Well, it didn't because he actually got towed back home.
He definitely should look at the small print at 40 quid. Okay.
Yeah. So but we're talking about, so when we did T. Harv Eker, read T. Harv Eker's books, I think it was him that used to talk about jars and doing this actually for all things like boilers and stuff like that. And in fact, just reading through the Money Gym book again, I realised that I had talked about it in there, where you're supposed to have lots of jars for different things. An amount of money gets siphoned off to and then gets put into these different jars in different bank accounts. And then then you've got certain things that you're only going to save up to a certain amount of money for. So, for example, if you know that if the boiler breaks, it's going to cost you $2,000, you can stop siphoning money to that jar once it gets to $2,000, and you can put that amount of money that you were siphoning to that jar
into another jar.
Another jar.
Yeah.
More fun, perhaps.
Yes.
And I loved that idea, but it always just seems to be so hard for people to do it. So what I'm saying is about this insurance thing is, it's definitely the obviously sensible thing to do, but I think many people would really actually struggle to do it, which is why they pay for insurance, because once you pay for insurance, it's done and you don't have to worry about it.
Well, it's like renting peace of mind.
So, yes.
But actually what they were all saying, these people, was when it comes to the point of claim, they rip you off. So what's the point? So, car insurance is a legal requirement at third-party fire and theft level.
Yeah.
I have fully comp. Fully comp insurance is actually worth more than my car, and I shouldn't be paying it. But the fact is, if I lost my car, and that was down to me because I'd only got third-party fire and theft, I'd be in a terrible situation at the moment because all my possessions in it, and I need it, I rely on it, and I can't afford to buy a new car. So I pay for fully comp. You've got to evaluate it on each different thing that you're invited to pay insurance on, and then measure your own level of preparedness to take risk with a brand new cat and a brand new washing machine and a brand new printer versus not prepared to take risk with perhaps your own health when you're in your 60s, or concerns about how dangerous it is driving a car.
Yeah, looking at things like private medical insurance, the one thing that we're all most likely to get, which is cancer, you get treated on the national health anyway.
Yes, quite.
So you're paying for a private room and everything, but you're still seeing the best surgeon in the country who happens to be a national health person.
Well, you've got to assess it, haven't you? That's the point. You've got to assess the risk yourself and not be blind to it.
Yes.
And if you're going to moan about pet insurance, then start with your new one, become your own insurer.
Yeah.
And the brilliant thing is, if you never make a claim, because I'm a careful person, I can't remember the last time I made a claim on insurance for anything. If you're careful, you're a low risk.
Yeah. The other thing is, of course, that watching Noel Fitzpatrick, the super vet, they used to talk about the cost of the operations and things that he recommended. And you'd watch people wrangling with their conscience, with their love for their pet.
Yeah.
They don't show that anymore, and they just actually act as if everyone's fully covered on pet insurance. But I imagine there's a lot of people on that show that actually are just paying for their pets' operations out of their own pocket.
Quite.
Which, thousands of pounds sometimes.
If you're saving, yes, I know that. And of course, we're thinking at that, we're thinking of this at the scarce end.
Yes.
Once you've started to save money for eventualities, you're not scarce about paying for an operation for your pets because you've either got the money saved or you've saved so much on insurances generally, you're cool with it,
Yeah. No, true. You could actually always take it out of your boiler fund.
Quite. My father used to say, insurance is expensive until the day you need it. And the point is, you've got to assess your day of needing it. I mean, somebody of Nelson's age, a new car owner, a new driver, I'd have that insured up the yin-yang. But it's expensive when you're his age.
And also when you're his age, you don't ever think anything's going to go wrong or anything's going to happen.
No, but lots of things go wrong.
I know. It's so funny because we have this conversation regularly and I say, I said, drive carefully. He says, Mum, I always drive carefully. I said, it's not about you, Nelson. It's about the other people on the road. It's about the nutters out there that are just waiting for you to get in your car.
Yeah, it is. Keep your eyes out for the nutters. I agree with that. But if you think about printers for the moment, I mean, I don't buy a printer anymore, but if I do, they're so cheap.
So cheap, yeah.
They're so cheap, you just buy another one. I mean, it's an awful thing.
Sure, printers, they're 30
because they prey on you straight away. As soon as you buy a printer, you get all this blurb from, Hewlett Packard or whoever it is, wanting you to buy the insurance.
Oh, crazy.
And if you're a careful, thoughtful person who worries and is a little bit, on that side, not a sort of gambling risk taker like an entrepreneur, then you would want insurance. But what you can half and half this is my point, which is you don't have to go cold turkey on all of these. Start gently with something and realize that you're saving yourself money.
Yeah. And of course, we all know that the very act of having money in an account somewhere does something to your brain, something positive to your brain, and you feel much more abundant and you're going to make better decisions anyway.
Well, I've Googled this because I've read up about it before. I couldn't find it easily, but I bet it's somewhere in the depths of Money Saving Expert because he's, you know what he's like.
Yeah. How to do this, or how?
Well, he's very on the penny pinchy, scarcey side of things, and I bet he's written up about it some time in the past. Yeah. And people who have got that kind of diggy energy on the internet you can find how to do this properly. And maybe we read it in one of our books. I don't know, but it's obvious if you think about it. It's the sort of thing my brother would do, but then he's well off.
Yeah. Yes, it is definitely. Well, it's definitely in the money gym, and in there we'll say where I originally got the idea from, because I always credit people. So it's a good thing to think about, and it really teaches you discipline of managing your money better, rather than I'm terrible. I mean, I've all over the years I've on and off paid for Bupa because I have this thing that I don't really want to be in a ward with lots of other people. And I've never actually, the only times I've ever ended up in a ward with lots of other people, it was an emergency. So that you basically don't get a private one, even if you're on Bupa.
No, that's right. Wasted money, you see. And if it had been your deposit account, it wouldn't have been wasted.
No, that's right.
I think there's another thing here, which is, I think if you're a person who either does or knows they should be analysing their monthly expenditures, add up what sort of, what's in your insurance column, how many things are you insuring, and do you want to review just one of them perhaps, and maybe start simple. The other thing I realised is that if you have a mortgage, then buildings insurance is mandatory. You can't have a mortgage on a property without insuring it. So you've got to have that. And I'm sure lots of people shop around annually or whatever it is, but contents insurance is not mandatory. And at the moment, the things that I own are either in storage at Emma's, where they probably are insured because a business in storage would insure it, but I haven't checked, or in my car. And they've been in my car since March 2017. And again, because I'm careful about my possessions, if it's in a risky place, I bring them indoors. And if it's not, I leave them outside in the car. But if somebody comes onto the farm in the middle of the night and burgles my car or steals my car, then that's my risk that I've assumed. And when you have car insurance and you've got things inside it, or holiday insurance and you've got things with you, or all risks, whatever it's called, it never covers what you want.
And that's the thing about, income protection and things like that for self-employed people. So many horror stories of companies not paying out.
They wriggle. They try to find a way that you're not insured.
Yes, and acts of God, etc., whatever that might be. Can't believe they can get out of an insurance claim because of a fictional being.
Well, it's a hurricane, isn't it? But I remember when quite often you are sold without realizing it on multiple policies, your home insurance, your car insurance, and lots of things, legal expenses protection or something like that, which means legal fees will be paid for you if there's a house-related or car-related thing, which sounds like an interesting thing. But when I tried to claim on it, when I had a legal thing, no, sorry, they're not included. It's the exclusions and who reads all the small print? I'm sure some of our listeners have the sort of brain to read the small print, but most of us don't. And, their wriggle room is all in the small print.
Good, a good topic. I like the idea of putting it in an account and having the money, though. That's rather good.
I think it's just the concept of being your own insurer as an alternative to feeling you must insure everything you've got because you're frightened of what could go wrong.
And assessing the risk of how likely things are to go wrong in the near term and medium term and long term.
And taking that risk upon yourself if you feel competent and confident to do so. Like, I feel I don't make many claims because nothing much goes wrong in my life because I'm a sensible middle-aged woman, Yeah,
and I'm very careful with my possessions as well.
Yeah.
Good. What's your word of the week then?
Well, it's fear, because that's what the insurance industry is all about.
I've fallen prey to it many times. Yes, I have to work quite hard at not being fearful of things, but I'm getting better as I get older.
And what's your word?
Duty. And it's something that you've said to me once, and I've been reminded of it a lot recently. If you've got something great that helps people, it's your duty to find the most effective and best way to sell it to them and to make it easy for them to buy. And it comes back to what you were saying about your pain lady, doesn't it? She's finding ways that she might not have been comfortable with initially, but she's convinced will help her reach more people.
Yes.
trying to get my books up to scratch, more up to scratch. I've been trying to sell things better. I've been trying to make things clearer. And I'm convinced that I need to come back to Be Everywhere Online, because I know how well that works for people. I'm watching my clients doing it really, really well. And I've got to find a better way to sell it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working on this week.
Okay, very good.
On duty.
And knees are related to duty, by the way.
Knees?
Yes, I'm a very dutiful person, and my painful knees are connected to duty.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I wonder if the shoulders are the same.
No, they're about shouldering burdens and responsibilities and carrying
right,
stuff.
Okay. Project updates then?
Not yet, but in
Right.
future, paying updates will be included.
I've got something very exciting to tell you on this
Good,
one.
go.
We've had our first stranger sale on Stupa Life.
Oh,
Someone has subscribed and upgraded their listing. And I don't think it was even someone who I set up with a free listing. I think it was a complete stranger. I don't recognise the accommodation at all, the name of it, and I do know quite a lot of the accommodations in Stupa, especially after doing this project of going around, doing all the research and getting people into a spreadsheet. Yeah, just popped up. It was funny. It was so funny because I was sitting there yesterday thinking, and it came into my inbox, and I thought, €26? What's that for then? And I thought, I don't sell in euros. And I'd completely forgotten Stupa Life is actually a commercial site and people can upgrade their listing. And I went to my business partner. I said, "You're not going to believe this. We've had our first sale." And the reason it's so exciting is not that it's £26 recurring either, which is exciting, but
it proves the concept.
It proves the concept, exactly. And there's nothing more exciting for an entrepreneur than
that's true.
Than having an idea, working on it for not that long, actually, 2 or 3 months, and then someone coming along who you don't know and thinking, "Oh yes, this is great, I'll have one." And it's the best feeling. It really is. I can't tell. It's just marvellous. And my business partner was very impressed too. And he said, "I always knew it." I said, "I know, but I had my moments of doubt." And but he said, "Well, you just kept going. That's the thing. You just keep going, don't you?"
Can you drive more of it?
Well, we are getting 1,500 visitors a week to this site now.
Very good.
Through Facebook advertising, which is unbelievably cheap if you use video, which I am. So we're not spending that. I mean, that €26 a month pretty much will cover our advertising budget.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, nice. So we just need a few more of those, and I'm sure they'll come. So, who or what's impressed you this week?
I've got 2. Do you want me to go first or last? I only saw this one last night. I was quite pleased with it. I've been enjoying some protein bars by a company called Vive. And when I got to the end of the box, I found a marketing incentive inside, which I thought was very nice. It said, "Leave us a review on our Amazon product page. Email us a picture of your review and include your postal address, and we'll send you a free bar."
Oh, nice.
I know, what a lovely thing. And such a simple thing for them to do. Presumably they've got a warehouse with bars going all the way up to the ceiling. And I never leave an Amazon product page review or any kind of review anywhere for anybody for anything. And I probably won't do this one, but many people would. And it's such an easy thing to do. They're lovely. Go and tell us they're lovely. Send us a picture of it and we'll send you a free thing of something you already like. Brilliant marketing. And my second one is a Facebook page called The Heart of Art, which isn't directly about art, but gives me lots and lots of lovely shareable content. Their About page says, "Our mission is to provide inspirational art and ideas that will manifest healing on an individual level, as well as a global migration of rippling light and love." And they've given me so much shareable stuff today. Well, there's one this morning that said, "Be a possibilitarian," which I thought was rather nice. And this gorgeous one that says, "The ability to imagine gives you the ability to create."
Yeah, nice.
Very simple, very attractive to look at, very shareable.
Nice.
Tell me yours.
I was looking for the new programme, the new drama with what's his name from Doctor Who in it. And what's his name, who was also in Broadchurch.
David Tennant.
That's the one, yes. So I put in farm on my apps, and I came across Young Black Farmers on Channel 4, which is a 2-part show where the only black farmer in Devon offers a farming scholarship to 2 inner city kids, and 10 of them go down to stay with him for several weeks. I think it's 6 weeks. And they stay in a cottage on his farm, and he takes them out and he shows them how to do milking, and he puts them to work on a pig farm, and they all have to try and find something to do at the show at the end, the big county show, and they go to a ball, because he's an active member of the local community, and they all go to a ball and have to dress up and everything. And I found it really, really funny and really, really moving. And Phoebe was sort of working while I was watching it, and she really enjoyed it as well, because obviously they're all, ghetto street kids, and some of them come from terrible, terrible backgrounds. And it was just a really lovely, it's only a 2-parter. I wish it had been longer. It was a lovely life-affirming thing, and there were lots of lessons in there, where these kids couldn't control their tempers, some of them, and some of them felt really, entitled that he was treating them with disrespect when they hadn't actually earned his respect in the first place. And
they have to get up very early in the morning on a farm, don't they?
Shocking, yeah. So they were really horrified by that. But they were more horrified by things like putting their arm up a cow's to help artificially inseminate them. They didn't like that one bit. So some of the men actually saw it as an affront to their manhood, which was hilarious.
What?
I know, it was a fascinating programme. It really was, and I can't recommend it highly enough. And of course, 2 young people got the jobs at the end, and one extra young person he took on because he saw something of himself when he was a youth. He came from a bad background.
This programme really has got your name on it, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was just brilliant, and he was very posh. Actually, I thought he's got a double-barreled name as well. I thought he must have been, someone who made a fortune. He did actually. He's a self-made man through farm products, but he had a bad background in a ghetto. Sort of inner city area. Inner city areas, they're ghettos really, and it was just brilliant. I highly recommend it. It's called Young Black Farmers on Channel 4.
I always forget about Channel 4.
Do you?
I do. Yeah, I do.
See, I would have thought it would fit quite nicely in between the BBC and ITV.
Well, I've no use for ITV at all.
Yeah.
It's for common people.
There's a couple of nice dramas on it at the moment, though.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with you. I agree with you about the one that is the White House farm, which is the real life story, but not about the one with David Tennant in it. I thought that was dreadful.
Did you? Oh,
yeah.
I liked it.
Do you think he did it?
Yes.
We're supposed to think he did it at the end of episode 1, aren't we? Yeah.
Well, see, I'm watching all sorts of drama now, just so if I can pick apart the plot. But I'm not allowed to say out loud what was the inciting incident and what was the ticking plot and complicated escalation.
It's actually much harder than it looks, because you and I both like to tell everybody everything straight out and immediately, don't we?
Phoebe says, "Can I turn it off, this app?" And she needs me. How do we turn this app off, Nelson? For God's sake. Okay, well, that's us it for another week.
All right. See you next week. Yeah. Bye. Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.